What's up guys, it's Gary with Fresh from the Farm Fungi. I'm here in Denver, Colorado, and today I wanted to talk about the top 5 investments when growing mushrooms. So this could be applied to a mushroom business, or if you're just growing mushrooms as a hobby. I have a list of the 5 most important items, or just the 5 items that got me the most value to where I am today. So the number one investment that I believe makes mushroom growing successful is a flow hood. So if you haven't seen my video yet, I have a video on vertical versus horizontal laminar flow hoods. So I chose to get a really state-of-the-art air science flow hood, but anything that has a HEPA filter and it's going to mitigate your contamination is really going to pay off in the long run. You can get away without a flow hood, especially if you're doing like a small scale hobby grow, but there's gonna be a lot of heartache. My first attempt at growing, I didn't have a hood, and it just led to like tons of contamination and just growing out a bunch of mold, so that's kind of disappointing. My flow hood cost about $3,500 a couple years ago. They're going up in price a little bit, but I recommend checking out Air Science. It's worked amazing since I got it. I don't think I've had any issues. Maybe a fuse went out once, but that cost like 30 cents to replace. So flow hood, number one investment. It saved me, thousands and thousands of dollars in contamination and time. The number two investment that I suggest for anyone that's growing mushrooms is a mop bucket. So it sounds simple, but if you stay up on cleaning, especially your floors, that contamination is going to come down. And the number one goal for any mushroom grower is to reduce their contamination to 0. So ideally you don't want any kind of contamination, because it's going to hurt your yields, it's going to destroy your product, and it's going to waste your time. So mopping, a really nice mop bucket is going to cost $100 maximum, and you're going to get a lot of use out of it. Especially, I recommend mopping at least 3 times a week with 15% bleach, and that's going to really lower your contamination. So mop bucket, another big one. So I've got laminar flow, a mop bucket. Both of those are really designed to reduce contamination, which is going to help pay off in the long run. So number 3 on my list is genetics. I've talked about this in my past videos, but you can have the most state-of-the-art lab, the most high-tech grow room, and if you don't have good genetics, you're just not going to get the yields that you're looking for. So starting out, I invested about $500 just testing all the different strains I could get my hands on, and since then I've bred a lot of strains that I use in-house. It helps develop your fungi according to your mushroom farm, which is really important, and you can select the best yielding strains over time. So even though it cost me a lot of money up front, it's paid off big time, because every single sequence of growing I'm getting that money back tenfold. Where there's a lot of companies out there that are selling liquid cultures for like $10, and it's okay to try those out, because maybe 1 in 10 of those is going to give you a really good flush. But my suggestion is go with the reputable brands and get some really good genetics. That's going to pay off in the long run. Alright, so number 4 best investments in mushroom farming is quality control. So this is kind of going to be based on how much you're actually growing, but if you're just running, a couple strains at home, not a big deal. You can just set jars aside as blanks and just really dial in your process, and you won't have to worry about quality control as much. But if you're in a commercial farm and you're scaling up your grow, it's really important to test your liquid cultures consistently, to test your grain spawn, your bulk fruiting, and even the environment in your grow room. It's gonna pay off big time over the course of years and years if you stop contamination in its tracks by implementing proper quality control procedures. So I have a video on colors of mycology. There's a lot of good information on that video, so I won't go too deep into it, but I do spend about $100 a month on quality control. So that's plates that I'm analyzing what's inside my liquid cultures. That's blank substrate that I'll leave out for a week just to see that there's no contamination growing, and trial runs for testing new genetics. You don't ever want to just buy a bunch of strains and then go all bore, because you know there could be problems with that mycelium. So it's always good to test out small and then work your way up from there. So that's another form of quality control. So my fifth best investment in growing mushrooms is going to be any kind of books or information that's out there. You know, Paul Stamets is one of the gurus and one of the fathers of fungi. So any one of his books I recommend. I probably spent, you know, a few $100s on mushroom cultivation books. So the growing medicinal and gourmet mushrooms, that's a really good one. Mycelium Running by Paul Stamets is another good one. Any cultivation book that's out there, you know, it's gonna have pretty much the same information. So I'm pretty sure you can find free PDF of Paul Stamets' book out there. But just search your local library. Even just the time invested in reading that book is gonna pay over tenfold. I really like Peter McCoy's Radical Mycology. I've read that a few times. It's a little pricey, but like I said, you know, knowledge is gonna pay itself over tenfold. Another book I like is Trad Cotter's book on organic mushroom farming, and William Padilla Brown's new book on cordyceps, which has really helped me through our cordyceps breeding project. So education is always a really good investment. I hope you guys enjoyed that list of the 5 best investments for growing mushrooms. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you're looking forward to more mycology videos like this. Check out our Etsy. We've got some liquid cultures that we just put up. Still waiting on the cordyceps. We're making a nice time-lapse video that's going to show all the different phenotypes, and they've turned orange at this point, but we're still in week 2 of bringing them into fruiting. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And I really appreciate everyone watching our videos. If you have any more investments, some of the other mushroom farmers out there, what are your best investments? Leave a comment below, and until next time, much love.